Hi everybody, welcome back. This is Kellie McGarry with Nourished and New, and this is Mindful Eating Part 2. So if you watched the first video, I just briefly talked about what mindful eating is and how it's based on the concept of mindfulness. Jon Kabat-Zinn says, mindfulness is paying attention in a particular way in the present moment, on purpose and non-judgmentally. And so that's what mindful eating is. It's paying attention to our food in a particular way. We're staying in the present moment and we're being non-judgmental about the way that we're eating. So mindful eating is based on who, what, why, when, and how. We all learned about that in English class, right? So the who is the eater. Who are you as an eater? Do you tend to eat out of emotion when you're bored or stressed? Or do you restrict your food when you're stressed? Do you tend to push food aside or maybe get really busy and forget to eat? And of course, those are the two extremes. A lot of us fall somewhere in between. But I'm sure that we can all relate to emotional eating or restriction at some point or another. So get to know who you are as an eater, and don't beat yourself up for that because we're all human and we're all emotional. So next would be the what. What food should I be eating? And so this is where you really need to listen to your body and know what foods work best for you. And sometimes we may be allergic to a food that we're not sure about, so this is where we need to really pay particular attention to, is this food agreeing with me or not? And then of course, paying attention to the seasons, the time of the year. So it's summer right now, so this is when it's best to eat salads and cold foods and lots of fruit. I love green smoothies. Of course, water. Don't get too dehydrated, or don't get dehydrated at all. And then the winter is the time for more of the warming foods and more of the fat and the meat if you're into meat, or protein. So pay attention to, okay, what food is my body craving in this moment? And on a side note, you might not be needing food at all at that time, and we'll talk about that later. So we got the who, we got the what, and the how. Now there's different parts to this. Number one, you need to think about, okay, how much do I need to be eating? And so in order to know that, you need to first take stock of how hungry you are at the moment. And I like to have a rating system, which is talked about in books such as Eat What You Love, Love What You Eat, and Intuitive Eating. And some experts recommend a scale of between 0 and 10. I just simply say between 0 and 5. So 0 would be completely stuffed, like Thanksgiving, and 5 would be you're completely ravenous, like you haven't eaten all day. And so, of course, once you get up to about a 3 or 4, you are obviously hungry and you need to eat. If you're just eating dessert or just grazing on something, that's when you know you don't really need to eat a whole lot. And so when you put your food on your plate, also ask yourself, okay, while you're eating, take inventory of your fullness levels as well. And it's okay if you don't finish your whole plate. I know a lot of us were taught that growing up, but I'd rather you listen to your body and stop when you're full. And so the key is to get to about a 2, somewhere around there, not completely stuffed and not still hungry, of course, as well. So we got the who, we got the what, we got the how, and also, regarding the how, is our thoughts. What am I thinking? So how am I eating? Am I eating in a stressful state? Am I thinking thoughts about work or family-related issues, or thoughts about how much I hate myself? We don't need any of that when we're eating, because our digestion is affected by our thoughts. And I love Mark David with the Institute for Psychology of Eating. He talks a lot about this, how our thoughts affect our metabolism. And so when we're eating in a stressful state, our body goes into fight or flight mode, and it slows down our digestion, which that's not something we want to have happen. And so we need to take a deep breath before we eat and try our best to focus on pleasurable thoughts. Sometimes I just sit with my kids when they're eating because I'm already a bit stressed out. So it's okay to not always eat with your kids. Of course, I do recommend sitting at the table with them because that's important, and to try to have a good conversation with your family as much as possible. I know it depends on the age and it can be really hard sometimes. But just know that your state of being, your emotional state of being is what's most important while you're eating. And the when. Is this a good time to be eating? I just ate at my house dinner before I went to this party. Do I really need to put all this food on my plate right now? Or maybe I'm here mainly just to socialize. And the why is a big one. So I'm going to be talking about that in part 3. Why do I feel like eating right now? Do I really need food, or am I craving something else? So that's a whole other big topic. So stay tuned for the why of mindful eating in part 3. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this helped. Take care.